Well guys, I think it's time for a rebuild. Again. Yeah. What is up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Joe's Tech. As you can see behind me, I have the MSI X99 titanium motherboard. If you guys are returning subscribers, you know that this has kind of been building up maybe secretively, but I kind of have a little explaining to do, so I'm going to get to that at the end of the video if you guys want to stick around and see what that's all about. For the rest of you guys, we're going to be taking a look at this board today, kind of seeing what comes included, what it has to offer, and of course, you know, let's just see what it looks like outside the box, because this box is gorgeous, and I mean, I feel like the board is just going to be incredible. So, you know, that being said, without wasting too much time, why don't we go ahead and get into it and see, you know, what comes included. This board's only been out for a few months, and being that it's part of the X99 enthusiast platform, there's a lot of cool technology that's included with the board. Now, without getting too technical and too boring and dry, I want to go through some of the specs that are included on the board so you guys have a general idea of, you know, the important things, I guess you could say. Starting at the rear of the I/O, we have one standard PS2 connection, 3 USB 2.0 connections, 6 USB 3.1 Gen 1 connections, 1 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A connection, 1 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type C connection, 1 gigabit LAN port, your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna connections, and your audio connections including an optical out. Quick side note, now I know a lot of people ask what is the difference between USB 3.1 Gen 1 and Gen 2, and the biggest differentiator obviously is Gen 1 is the older technology which supports up to 5 gigabits per second data transfer speeds, and the newer USB 3.1 Gen 2 supports up to 10 gigabits per second of transfer speed. So it's really just double the transfer on the Type 2 connectors, and they're both backwards compatible, so either one will work with any USB device. On the back of the I/O panel, you'll also find a clear CMOS button, which is gonna, you know, obviously allow you to clear your CMOS, and then you'll find a one-off USB 2.0 connection that has a icon saying Flashback Plus, and basically what that allows you to do is connect, you know, a USB flash drive or something like that with a backup of your BIOS, and allows you to restore the BIOS. Now, from what I'm reading on MSI's site, you actually can do this without having the CPU installed, without having the RAM installed, and even without having a GPU installed. So it's kind of a cool feature, and I think it's really required at the enthusiast level if, you know, for some reason things get screwed up and you're not able to get back into the BIOS, or, maybe you change a setting and for whatever reason it screwed things up and you just want to start from scratch. It's kind of a cool feature to add in there, so I just kind of wanted to mention that. Now, continuing on with connectivity on the board itself and inside your case, you're going to find 4 USB 3.1 Gen 1 headers, 4 USB 2.0 headers, 1 onboard USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-C connector inside there. You have your CPU fan headers, as well as 6 additional case fan headers or pump headers. You have 1 front audio connector and 1 chassis intrusion connector. As far as GPU support goes, on this board you will have 5 PCI Express x 16 slots and of course 1 PCI Express x 1 slot. This board does support 4-way SLI and 4-way crossfire. As far as drive expansion goes, you're going to have plenty of room with this board. Included, you're going to have your 1 M.2 socket 3 SSD port, you're going to have 1 U.2 port, 10 SATA 6 gigabit per second ports, and 1 SATA Express. One of the other cool features that I found with this board is it does support multi-BIOS. And so with that, you're going to have a toggle switch on the board directly that allows you to switch between BIOS A and BIOS B. Obviously the benefit being here, if you wanted to kind of tweak some settings and see the difference between those without having to manually go back and reconfigure each time you make a change, you could leave one stock and you could overclock another, or maybe you just want to run typically on a stock BIOS and then have another one that is overclocked for when you want to test things out or do a little gaming. You could switch it over pretty easily. So I thought that was kind of a cool feature. Unlike most premium boards that are out right now, this board does not have RGB LEDs built in on the board. However, what it does have is it does have an LED header, which will allow you to connect 50/50 RGB LED strips and run those, around your case or whatever, and control them from the software that MSI provides. Now, I don't know exactly which strips are able to connect to that. I'm using the NZXT Hue LED strips. I don't think that they're supported, but from what I'm reading in the manual, basically any 12-volt LED strips will work. So I'll try to find something that is compatible for sure online, and I'll throw one of those in the description below, just in case anybody wants to see what that looks like. Another nice thing that I found with this board is it does have built-in dials on the board, which was kind of nice, especially just now when I was kind of testing things out after I put the board in. I wanted to just make sure everything powered on correctly. And with that being said, I was able to click basically the power button that's directly on the motherboard. And then when I was done, I was able to drain the power by hitting the drain button. Now, the drain button isn't necessary really. I mean, you could just unplug the power to the board and then, power cycle it by pressing the power button on the case. But it's kind of a cool feature to have, especially when you're at this price point. And maybe you're somebody that's going to be plugging and unplugging components pretty often, or maybe you're going to have this board on a test bench. So anyways, I thought it was kind of a cool feature to have in there. Now, one of the other crazy features that this board has is the overclock dial. Now, if you can kind of see in the top right of the board, there's a red button there, or a red dial. And basically what that does is allow you to manually overclock your chip by turning a dial. Now, I feel like this is a little ridiculous. Obviously, if you need a dial to overclock your CPU, then you probably shouldn't be overclocking your CPU. The other part that's kind of ridiculous is it actually goes up to 11. Like, literally, that's the top of the scale is 11. The purpose of this video was kind of just to give you guys an overview of the X99 titanium motherboard by MSI. Kind of let you guys see what it looks like and let you know what comes included and what the specs are. I won't be actually powering the machine on tonight or doing any overclocking or anything like that. I do have the CPU and the cooler and the RAM, and I'm going to be getting that stuff put in the next few days, and I'm going to try to create some content and show you guys that stuff as well. Now, if you guys are just stopping in for the first time, as a heads up, I did just finish up this project where I moved, all my old hardware into this new case and kind of did like a facelift kind of deal for my computer. And obviously, right when that project was finished, I was able to finally get all this other hardware that I've kind of been amassing over the last couple months. Obviously, for those of you guys who are not stopping in for the first time, have been subscribed, that's kind of the story that I was going to tell you guys is, that I did have a deal come up on a CPU that I really could not pass up. And so at that point, I went ahead and started kind of amassing all this other hardware. And so as I was prepping to do the move of my old hardware, I was also kind of planning this project in advance. So I think it'll be kind of fun. We'll just kind of keep the project going. Obviously, this build is strictly for me to, do my edits on and obviously playing games and stuff, right? Which is like my favorite, thing to do when I actually have time for things like that. But I think this upgrade is actually going to help me out quite a bit as far as rendering these videos and things like that. If there's anything I didn't mention in the video and you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. As always, I'll go ahead and leave links for anything I mentioned in the video down in the description as well. And of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Now, if you're just stopping in for the first time and you want to see where this project goes, or kind of see what else we get into, feel free to subscribe. Until next time, guys, it's been great, it's been real, it's been Joe's Tech. I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.